The music was soft, the scent of lilies hung in the air, and laughter rippled through the golden hall. Emma sat near the aisle, her wheelchair tucked gracefully beside a row of chairs draped in white silk. The world around her shimmered in movement, dancing heels, spinning dresses, people embracing life as if they had never known pain. She smiled politely, though her heart ached in the quiet spaces between songs. It was her cousin's wedding. She had promised herself she wouldn't hide this time. Not because she didn't feel out of place, but because she was tired of pretending she wasn't living at all. The accident had taken more than her ability to walk. It had stolen her ease, her confidence, the part of her that used to reach for life without hesitation. Now, she watched from the sidelines, graceful but invisible. As the ceremony began, Emma felt a pang of something familiar, a longing for the kind of love that wasn't afraid to stay when things got hard. Her fingers rested on her lap, the faint rhythm of the music vibrating through her body like an echo of what she once knew. Then she noticed it, an empty chair beside her. People came and went, but no one stayed. Until a flash of red appeared at the edge of her vision. The woman walked with quiet confidence, her dress flowing like a ribbon of fire against the soft candlelight. She wasn't the kind of beautiful that screamed for attention, hers was the kind that made silence feel full. The stranger stopped beside Emma's wheelchair, her eyes warm, curious. "Is this seat taken?" she asked. Emma shook her head, her breath catching slightly. "No, please." The woman smiled, a slow, radiant curve that made Emma's heart trip over itself. As she sat, the faint scent of jasmine drifted between them, and for a moment, the crowded room seemed to fall away. "I'm Ava," she said, extending a hand. "Emma," she replied, her voice softer than she meant it to be. Ava's hand lingered, not out of hesitation, but connection. "Beautiful wedding," she said, glancing toward the altar. "It is," Emma answered, though her gaze had already betrayed her, drawn to the delicate freckle near Ava's collarbone, to the way her red dress caught the light when she turned. They spoke through the ceremony in hushed tones, about the flowers, the music, the couple, and yet somehow, it felt like something else entirely. Like two lives brushing against each other in the middle of a world too busy to notice. By the time the vows were exchanged, Emma found herself smiling, really smiling, for the first time in months. And when Ava leaned slightly closer, whispering, "You have the kindest eyes," Emma felt something shift quietly inside her chest. It wasn't just attraction. It was recognition. The reception bloomed into color and laughter. Glasses clinked, strings of fairy lights glimmered above the tables, and the soft hum of chatter filled the room like a song that didn't want to end. Emma lingered at her corner of the hall, pretending to scroll through her phone, though her mind was miles away, still caught in the warmth of Ava's smile. Ava hadn't moved since she sat beside her. Most people came to weddings with a plan, to sit, to dance, to mingle. But Ava seemed content simply to be there, her attention fixed on Emma like the rest of the world had quietly ceased to matter. "So," Ava said, resting her chin on her hand, "tell me about you. You look like someone with stories." Emma gave a small laugh. "Stories? I'm afraid mine's a bit dull." "I don't believe that for a second," Ava said softly. "No one with eyes like yours lives a dull story." Emma blushed and looked away, pretending to watch the newlyweds on the dance floor. "You're good with words. And you're not used to hearing them," Ava countered gently. "Why's that?" The question hung in the air, intimate and brave. For a moment, Emma hesitated. She'd spent so long avoiding the truth that speaking it aloud felt like undressing her soul in public. "I guess," she said finally, "because people stopped looking at me the same way after the accident. They see the chair before they see me." Ava didn't flinch or rush to fill the silence. Instead, she leaned closer, her voice low, certain. "Then they're not looking closely enough." Something inside Emma melted. The sincerity in Ava's tone wasn't pity, it was admiration. Her eyes held no hesitation, no trace of discomfort. It was as if Ava saw her exactly as she was and found beauty in the whole of it. Ava stood and held out her hand. "Dance with me." Emma blinked, half a laugh escaping. "I can't exactly." Yes, you can, Ava interrupted softly. Let me. Before Emma could protest, Ava knelt beside her, her dress pooling around her like a spill of red silk. The lights caught the edges of her hair, turning it gold. We'll make our own kind of dance. Their hands met, tentative at first, then sure. Ava guided her gently, swaying in rhythm with the music, her movements slow and fluid. Emma followed as best she could, her chair gliding slightly, their joined hands moving like petals in a breeze. People began to notice, but neither of them cared. There was something sacred about it, the sight of two women finding rhythm beyond movement, beyond limitation. It wasn't about dancing. It was about being seen, truly seen. When the song ended, Ava's hand lingered in Emma's. You move beautifully, she whispered. Emma felt her throat tighten. You make it easy. They stood, or rather, existed, in that moment, caught in something neither of them wanted to name yet. Ava smiled again, that quiet, radiant smile. Come on, she said. I'm not letting you sit through the rest of this night alone. The air outside was cooler, quieter, a soft drizzle painting silver streaks over the garden lanterns. The wedding hall glowed behind them like a memory, distant and warm. Ava had insisted on fresh air, gently pushing Emma's chair toward the balcony with an easy familiarity that made Emma's heart skip with every step. They stopped beneath a canopy of ivy and fairy lights. The sound of laughter drifted from inside, mingling with the rhythmic tap of rain. Ava leaned on the railing beside her, the fabric of her red dress darkening at the edges where raindrops kissed it. You always this good at rescuing strangers? Emma teased, her voice soft but tinged with genuine curiosity. Ava turned toward her, her eyes catching the light. Only when the stranger looks like she forgot she deserves to be seen. Emma let out a shaky laugh, not used to words that went straight through her defenses. You say things like that so easily. I mean them easily, Ava replied. I saw you during the ceremony. The way you watched everything, like you were both there and somewhere else. You looked lonely. Emma looked away, tracing a drop of rain down her wrist. Maybe I was. Weddings can do that. They make you think about what you've lost. And what you might still find, Ava said softly. That silenced her. The rain grew heavier, pattering softly against the leaves above them. Ava reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from Emma's cheek, the touch lingering just long enough to make the world blur around them. Can I tell you something? Ava asked. Emma nodded. I didn't actually know the bride that well, Ava admitted, smiling sheepishly. We met once at a photography exhibit. She invited me because I said I loved weddings, even though I never stay long. But tonight, I think I was meant to. Emma's breath caught. Meant to what? Ava's eyes softened. Meet you. The words landed like a heartbeat. Neither moved. The only sound was the rain, falling like a curtain around them. Ava crouched slightly so their faces were level, her fingers grazing Emma's hand, slow, deliberate, electric. For the first time in months, Emma didn't feel broken. She felt alive. The kind of alive that hurt a little, like waking up from a long sleep. I almost didn't come tonight, Emma whispered. I thought I'd just be in the way. Ava shook her head gently. You were never in the way, Emma. You were the reason I stayed. Emma smiled, her chest tightening with emotion she didn't have words for. She wanted to thank her, to say something meaningful, but all that came out was a quiet, trembling truth. I'm glad you did. Ava's lips curved, tender and knowing. She leaned closer, so near Emma could feel the warmth of her breath. The rain glimmered around them like falling stars. And just before their hands intertwined again, Ava whispered, maybe some dances don't need music. The wedding had spilled deep into the night. Most of the guests had either left or disappeared onto the dance floor, leaving only the soft pulse of music and the faint shimmer of lights through the rain-streaked windows. Emma and Ava remained on the balcony, cocooned in the kind of stillness that made time feel fragile. Neither of them spoke for a while. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, it was intimate, alive with things unsaid. Ava leaned her elbows on the railing, glancing toward the garden where puddles reflected golden light. You know, she said finally, I didn't think I'd talk this much tonight. Usually, I slip out after dessert. Emma smiled faintly. Then why are you still here? Ava's gaze met hers, steady and unguarded. Because you make me want to stay. The words were soft, but they vibrated through Emma like thunder. She didn't know how to answer, she only knew that something about Ava's presence made everything sharper, the sound of rain, the scent of roses, the beating of her own heart. Ava crouched down again so they were face to face, her expression thoughtful. You said people stopped seeing you after the accident, she murmured. But I see you, Emma. Every bit of you. The strength. The hesitation. The beauty that doesn't ask for permission to exist. Emma's throat tightened. She wasn't used to being looked at this way, with reverence instead of sympathy. Her voice trembled when she finally spoke. You make it sound easy to believe in myself again. Ava reached out, brushing the edge of Emma's sleeve. Maybe you just needed someone to remind you. A beat of silence stretched between them, thick with the weight of everything that didn't need to be said. The music inside faded into a slow, romantic melody. Somewhere, laughter burst out, distant and fading. I used to dance all the time, Emma whispered. Before, everything changed. Ava smiled, a flicker of tenderness in her eyes. You still do. Just differently now. Emma laughed softly. You always have the right words. Only when I mean them. Their eyes held, too long to be casual, too gentle to be mistaken. The world around them dissolved, leaving only the quiet ache of connection. Ava's hand found Emma's again, their fingers weaving together effortlessly. I don't want this night to end, Emma said before she could stop herself. Then let's not let it, Ava whispered. It was a promise wrapped in rain and candlelight. A promise that said maybe this could be something. As the clock struck midnight, the rain eased into a mist. Ava pushed Emma's chair back inside, but they didn't return to the noise of the crowd. Instead, they slipped into a quiet hallway, the lights dim and golden. There, under a garland of white roses, Ava paused. Emma, she said softly, can I tell you something I've never said to anyone at a wedding before? Emma tilted her head, curious. What's that? Ava smiled, her voice trembling with honesty. The night had thinned into quiet. The music inside was softer now, and most guests had drifted away, leaving laughter as a fading echo through the glowing hall. Emma and Ava stayed on the balcony, the air cool and damp with the scent of rain and roses. A lantern flickered above them, throwing soft shadows across their faces. Ava was sitting cross-legged beside Emma's chair, her red dress slightly wrinkled, her bare feet brushing against the cool stone floor. She looked utterly at ease, like she belonged there, like this moment had been waiting for her all along. Emma watched her for a long while before speaking. You're not what I expected. Ava smiled without looking up. And what did you expect? I don't know, Emma said slowly. Someone polite. Someone who would smile, say hello, and then move on. Not someone who'd stay. Ava looked up then, her eyes soft and searching. Sometimes staying is the only thing that feels right. Emma's throat tightened. She wanted to say how much that meant, how rare it was to feel like someone wanted to be near her without needing to fix or pity her. But words felt too small for the warmth swelling in her chest. You don't see me as different, she murmured. Ava leaned her chin on her knee, studying her. You are different. But not in the way you think. You've been through fire, Emma, and you still look for light. That's rare. Emma's eyes burned with unshed tears. You make it sound easy to be brave. It's not easy, Ava said. It's just necessary. For a long time, they sat in silence. The rain had stopped, but drops still clung to the ivy, sliding down like liquid glass. Emma felt a sudden urge to reach out, to touch Ava's hand, to feel the reassurance of something real and warm. She hesitated, then did. Their fingers met gently, as if testing something fragile. Ava's hand was warm, her touch steady. When she turned her palm and laced their fingers together, Emma felt her heart stumble. Ava smiled faintly. Do you ever feel like you meet someone and it's not the first time? Like your hearts remember something your minds forgot? Emma nodded slowly. That's exactly what it feels like. Ava exhaled softly, her voice almost a whisper. Then I'm not imagining it. The lantern above them flickered again, as if agreeing with the silence that followed. There was no need for grand confessions. Everything was in the way Ava looked at her, open, fearless, patient. The kind of gaze that didn't ask for anything, yet offered everything. Emma, Ava said gently, I think I was supposed to find you tonight. Emma smiled, her eyes glistening. Then I'm glad I didn't hide. Ava reached up, brushing a raindrop, or maybe a tear, from Emma's cheek. You don't ever have to hide again. Their hands stayed intertwined long after the music faded completely. The world outside the balcony ceased to matter. There was only this, two women beneath a silver sky, bound by something soft and certain. The morning sunlight poured softly through the hotel curtains, wrapping the room in gold. The echoes of the previous night still lingered, the laughter, the rain, the quiet words that had filled the darkness like music. Emma blinked awake to the sound of faint knocking. When she opened the door, Ava stood there, barefoot, holding 2 cups of coffee and that same calm, luminous smile. Her red dress was gone, replaced by a loose white shirt and a quiet glow that made Emma's heart remember everything about the night before. Good morning, Ava said, handing her a cup. You looked like you might need caffeine and a reason to smile. Emma laughed softly, taking the cup. You keep doing that. What? Finding reasons to make things better. Ava shrugged gently, her eyes glimmering. Maybe I just found the right person to do it for. They sat by the window, the city stretching beyond them, soft and waking. For a while, they didn't speak. Emma's wheelchair sat beside her bed, sunlight glinting on its metal frame. Ava's fingers idly traced the rim of her coffee cup before she turned to Emma. Can I tell you something? Ava said, her tone quieter now, more vulnerable. Emma nodded. I almost left last night. Before I ever saw you. Ava looked out the window for a moment, then back at her. I thought maybe I didn't belong there, too many smiles, too many people pretending to be perfect. But then, I saw you. And you weren't pretending. You were real. Emma's throat tightened. You don't know how much that means to me. Ava smiled, reaching over to take her hand again, thumb brushing softly against her knuckles. Maybe I do. For the first time in a long while, Emma didn't feel fragile. She didn't feel like someone to be pitted or avoided. She felt seen, cherished even, not despite her chair but beyond it. She looked at Ava, at the woman who had appeared out of nowhere in a red dress, who had danced with her when no one else dared, who had made the night feel infinite. I don't want this to end, Emma whispered. Ava leaned closer, her voice a hush. Then don't let it. Outside, the city came alive, car horns, laughter, life resuming, but in that small, sunlit room, time slowed. Ava reached up, brushing Emma's hair behind her ear. Their eyes met, and in that look everything unspoken became clear. A promise, quiet but certain, bloomed between them. That connection didn't need perfection. It just needed truth. Emma smiled, her heart full, her soul calm. You know, she said softly, I came to that wedding thinking I'd be invisible. Ava squeezed her hand, smiling. And now? Emma looked at her, warmth flooding her chest. Now, I feel like someone finally saw me. Ava tilted her head, her smile tender and knowing. Not just saw you, Emma, she said. Fell for you. The words hung in the air, delicate and sure, before Emma reached for her hand once more.